Welcome, everybody, to the Turnpike Sports Pro Football Show, where we discuss, what else? Pro football. This is the third week of the season. It's a very young season. We're already seeing a lot of really interesting games going on.
Let me tell you something. Week 2 was so strange. I mean, what was it? Like 8 underdogs, 1 outright. It was a strange betting week. Well, in our picks here, I did terrible. I did 1 and 2 again. But let me tell you something. On my own, I did. This is how strange of a week it was. I did a 3-leg teaser of all underdogs, and I would have won if I didn't do the teaser. I mean, the teaser was plus 105. If I didn't do the teaser, I still would have won. That's how strange a week it was. That's how well the underdogs did in week 2.
Well, you know, it's very interesting, and you mentioned the betting. And by the way, the Pro Football Show here, we work with Caesar Sportsbook. Head on over to Caesars.com/sportsbook-and-casino. Pike 1000 gets you a special offer when you go ahead and start signing up for them and using them. 21 and older, terms and conditions apply. Problem gambling, 800 gambler. Take gambling responsibility really seriously here. So, but yeah, you're right. You mentioned the betting aspect of it, and it seems like every week it's something different.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so far, we're only 2 weeks into the season. We're starting to see some really interesting developments, like New Orleans. I didn't expect.
No, New Orleans came out of nowhere,
Yeah.
and it's great to see. Alvin Kamara, my God,
Yes.
he's running like a kid again.
Well,
Good for him.
And also, Sam Darnold's back in the driver's seat in Minnesota.
Where did he come from?
He came from the Jets.
My goodness. Oh,
He
boy.
came from my Jets, who didn't do him any service by giving him a horrible offense to work with.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, it's one of those things where I think we're seeing a lot of injuries, too.
Yes,
a lot of
injuries,
players are out.
And a lot of teams are still finding themselves. There's a bunch of teams that, from the viewer, gave away the games. Look, the Giants should have won that game. I'm glad they didn't, because that was the one game I won last week that I did. Eagles gave it away. Patriots gave it away. They came away. The Patriots had statistics that you haven't seen since 1983.
Yeah, what was it? It was.
I'll tell you right now. There were 152 teams that had exactly the same stats that the Patriots had. 152 teams since 1983.
It was
the Patriots won on time of possession. They had over 300 yards of offense. They didn't give away the ball. They had over 150 yards rushing. They had 3 penalties, and they lost. They're the first team in 152 teams since 1983 that lost, having those statistics. They gave away the game. So if you're a bettor, it just pulls your hair out to see how these teams are performing and how they're not finishing the games.
Well, look what happened to the New York Giants.
They didn't have.
They lost their kicker. They couldn't do too much without a kicker. Their punter is not a kicker.
Well,
which is weird, because I've seen punters sub in for kickers and vice versa. I remember a Jets game I was watching where Tom Tupa, the punter, came in as the emergency quarterback and led them to a win.
Well, kicking is so specific, and I can't fault the Giants for that. They don't have a backup place kicker. I mean, what team has a backup place kicker? So they were snake bit, but still, drop the ball.
Yeah,
dropping balls in the Giants game, in the Eagles game, a drop ball led to a loss.
That was not really, I don't like that play call. By the Eagles. That third down call.
It's a play call they've called about 1,000 times in a season, and it works out all the time. But
never with Saquon Barkley, though.
Again.
You have a brand new running back for that team.
Mm-hmm.
I have to admit, I don't like Sirianni as a coach.
Okay,
I really don't. I don't understand
I like him.
He kind of has a swagger when he doesn't deserve one yet. And his play calling is kind of, I'm smarter than you.
Well,
and sometimes it bites him on the butt. A lot of times it works for him.
Well, look, they made the defense for the Eagles made Kirk Cousins look like Joe Montana. So,
yes.
It's the season is young, and like I said, a lot of teams are still finding themselves, finding the strengths, their weaknesses. So that's what makes what we're going to do in the next segment really tough. Trying to figure out using spreads and using the totals to see how we do picking these games.
Well, before we get to that, I have a question for you, and I have an answer for it for myself. What do you think of the dynamic kickoff through the first 2 weeks of the season? I'm seeing some of the adjustments to kicking teams are making.
Yeah, it still looks cluttered to me, but it's new to me, so I'm sure I'll get used to it, and I'm sure this is great for a lot of if you just don't like the kickoff into the end zone, which I'm still seeing a lot of. By the way,
I'm seeing a lot more of that.
But,
Week 2 had a lot more of that than it did in week 1.
I think I'll get used to it, but right now it still seems odd to me, a little cluttered in the field, but you know what? It's growing on me, so we'll see how it goes.
The one thing I want to see at some point is the I've been reading about this, the digital chain gang for the first down markers.
Did I see? I haven't.
They haven't done it this year.
Yet,
They did it. They did it in the postseason last year. They're supposed to be trying to work it out. They had planned on introducing it this year. They're not using it, which I think is kind of interesting in and of itself. But there's a lot more cameras.
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
Sure.
Especially on the pylons and also the goalposts. There were a couple new camera angles I saw too.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting to see the NFL developing all that. I know that's for the next gen stats and the streaming and their sports betting partnerships and everything else. And Sport Radar is there every week, and it's great to see that. They're doing an amazing job with that stuff. But I'm actually kind of a fan of the new kickoff. I like it because I like the fact that once the guys get the ball, it's a running play because there's no run down the field. And,
Sure.
And it maybe allows an open, a couple trap blocking too. They're allowed to be able to start doing that stuff.
Hey, you can be a little more creative with it. I'll say that about it.
So. Well, we are no longer creative here because we basically do the same formula every week here. We've got, as always, we play against each other here for the NFL picks.
That's my main opponent right over there. Doug is, and so you want to take my advice, fine. But I'm playing to beat Doug, so that's what I'm doing.
Well, last week you said you went 1-2.
I went 1-2.
I went 2-1 again,
and I missed 2-1 by half a point.
Well, right now,
but hey, that's the fun of it. That's the fun of it.
Season standings, I'm 4-2. Got you by 2-game lead. You're 2-4. But again, you always manage to come back and make it
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
And what we do every week, we pick 3 games each. We analyze them and we give our opinions as to what we think is going to happen. We use either the point spreads or the totals. We don't do money line bets. Money line bets kind of we save for our own personal use if we want to make parlays and everything else like that.
If I want to be stupid with a teaser.
Well, yes, exactly. But we do that, and we use Caesar's Sportsbook lines.
Absolutely.
Each and every week. They're riding along with us all the way through the season, through the big game. And we don't do game day lines. We do a couple days beforehand. We're taping this, as a matter of fact, a couple days before Sunday's games. We don't touch the Thursday night game.
Well, let me tell you something. Always check the points because they're constantly changing.
Exactly.
It's a very dynamic exercise that sports betting is. So always keep checking the points because injuries pop up, a player is benched and who knows. So always be aware of them.
And always bet responsibly.
Absolutely.
Bet with your head, not your heart. Again, 21 and older. Terms and conditions when you work with Caesars, Pike 1000, you get the special offer there. As always, problem gambling, 800 Gambler. And with that, let's head on over to our picks.
With costs going up, Adam and Eve is the best deal around. With 50% off a sexy adult product at adamandeve.com. That's 50% off right now when you point the camera on your smartphone at the code on the screen. Don't get up. Just open your camera and point it at the screen. Hurry! You'll also get 10 free gifts, including free discreet shipping at checkout. This is your chance to get more for less. So scan now for 50% off plus 10 free gifts from adamandeve.com.
Welcome back to the Turnpike Sports Pro Football Show, powered by Caesar Sportsbook.
Yes.
I always like that phrasing. I always love that phrasing. Powered by Caesar Sportsbook.
Powered by Caesar Sportsbook.
But yeah, thank you very much for riding along with us, Caesar. It's always great to have you with us. It's Pike 1000. Special offer is up on the screen. Feel free to sign up when you want to. Great promos and offers there. Mm-hmm. Also, when you do sign up, make sure if you do have a Caesars rewards card, hook into that.
Yeah.
Lot of points being earned through the
Absolutely.
tier. I guess they're called tier points.
Is it? I don't know.
Tier points, but make sure you log in and hook up your rewards card so you can enjoy some of the Caesars properties and some of the other stuff they have to offer.
We're lucky here in New Jersey. We have Caesars online casino too. That's a lot of fun.
Well, right now we're getting into our pick segment. Once again, here are the rules: 3 games each, point spreads or totals. We don't use money lines. We use Caesars Sportsbook lines. And without that, let's head on over to game number 1. First game of the week, and again, we have a game in common, so we're going to start off with that one.
We don't, when we're picking these games, we don't know what the other guy is picking, but we ask each other before we start recording because, we want to know what order we should do, and this is one game we have in common. The other two we don't, but this is the one game we have in common.
It helps.
And by the way, I do not know what side he's picking. So I know we
know the game. We don't know the pick.
We know the game. We don't know what result the other guy is hoping to achieve.
Well, after all that,
yeah,
we're going to be talking Houston Texans favored by 2 points, traveling to Minnesota to play the Vikings, over under 46 points even. You don't normally see a 46-point even. Yeah, I always see the half point, all these things, but this is 46 even. And we've got the Sam Darnold-led Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
2-0 straight up.
We're both 2-0.
Yep.
So it should be a very entertaining game.
And 2-0 against the spread, too.
Yeah.
The Minnesota Vikings, they had the upset win against San Francisco in Week 2. Defense, league-high 11 sacks. They blitzed more than a third of a time. Minnesota is also 4-0 against the spread in the last 4 meetings between these two teams.
Okay.
It's always fun watching them. Back then, before this meeting, it was always Kirk Cousins, but not Sam Darnold. Although I don't think Minnesota's missing Kirk Cousins too much the way Darnold's playing.
Absolutely.
Don't know how long that's going to last, but he's been playing extremely well. This Minnesota team is relying on defense and special teams, to help out with the offense, and I think it's very much a complementary football team here with all 3 phases kicking along at the right time. Then you got Houston. Even though they've got Stephon Diggs and Nico Collins, they really haven't been blowing out teams this year. They have been not really dominating like they were last year. Well, last year they were sneaking up on people.
Yeah.
So, but looking at these teams right now, the way it's going, I'll take my chances with Sam and the Vikings. I'm going to go Minnesota +2.
All right, you picked the same team I did, so you got the same game. Now we got the same team. Well, you mentioned, the Minnesota Vikings lead in quarterback sacks. I mean, the defense has 11 of them. Well, I think they're going to put a lot of pressure on C.J. Stroud because over the first 2 weeks, he's been sacked 7 times. So they got to get protection around C.J. Stroud if they're going to do well in this game. And Sam Darnold, oh my God, he must love September because 3 of his last 4 September home games, he's recorded over 268 yards passing. It's really great. He's also completed over 24 passes in each of his last 3 September home games against AFC opponents. So certainly the Minnesota defense, I think, is going to be pestering CJ Stroud all day. But I like Sam Darnold. I think he's going to continue his streak of really good September games. And like you said, I'm taking the Minnesota Vikings, the underdog Minnesota Vikings.
I always like Sam Darnold, regardless of where he played. Let's head on over to the second game of the week. My second game of the week, Philadelphia Eagles at New Orleans playing the Saints. The Saints are favored by 3 points even here. We've got an over-under of 49.5. What can you say about New Orleans this season? I think words like impressive,
Yeah, all right.
incredible all come to mind.
So if you're a fantasy football player, you got to get Kamara on your team somehow. I wonder before this season started how many people had him on his team because, he was kind of trending downward.
Yeah.
The Saints didn't re-sign him right away. I think they probably should now. So we'll see what happens. But hopefully he keeps the train running.
Well, there were a lot of questions coming into the season. They have a new offensive coordinator, Clint Kubiak. Derek Carr. A lot of people didn't like the choice of Derek Carr as a quarterback for the Saints. And right now, this offense that the Saints have on the field, leading the NFL with a plus 62-point differential over the first 2 games. They dismantled Dallas without a second thought there. You've got, like I said, the Clint Kubiak-led offense.
Clint Kubiak.
Derek Carr leads the NFL, 142.4 passer rating.
You protect Derek Carr, and guess what? He's one of the
As
best
long as
quarterbacks.
he's got the weapons.
He's got the weapons, but he's got the protection, too.
He's got 11.4 yards per passing attempt this year so far. I know it's only 2 games.
Yeah,
but again,
I know, but it's still pretty good.
The offense is humming along. The defense is playing like it usually is. I'm very impressed with how this offense seems to have gelled in a really short amount of time. Eagles on the other side of the ball here. You're missing A.J. Brown. They struggled without him last week. That defense is just a mystery to me.
Porous. It was porous last
Yes.
week. It was just ridiculous. So,
I think both sides of the ball are struggling to find themselves. Maybe this is a coming out game for the offense. I don't know. I think they're still going to struggle a little bit with A.J. Brown. But if the Eagles can avoid some of those really obvious weird play calls that Sirianni is known for right now, this could actually be a very fun game to watch.
Sure.
I think it could be a very high-scoring game, which is why I'm going the over 49.5.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, I hope you're right. That should be an exciting game. My next game is the Chicago Bears versus the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are favored by a point, and the total is 43.5 points. Well, the good news for the Colts is that Anthony Richardson has an incredible arm. The bad news for the Colts, that incredible arm has thrown 4 interceptions in 2 games. He's also fumbled the ball twice, but the Colts got it back, so good for them, but it's still a little concerning. The Bears, on the other hand, have a defense that has really shined over the last couple of games. 6 sacks, 4 takeaways, and a pressure rate of 31%, which is really great. And when it comes to shutting down opponents on third downs, they are 3rd best in the league. I like the Bears in this one because I love their defense, and I also know that the Indianapolis Colts will throw an interception or turn over the ball in the worst possible time in the game. So I'm surprised the Colts are actually favored by 1. So I am taking the Chicago Bears in this one. The underdog Chicago Bears. I think I just picked 2 underdogs. I think I was snake bit from last week seeing all the underdogs win. So I'm taking the Chicago Bears in this one.
Well, I actually, the first 2 weeks of the season, each week I went with one of my picks was the Colts. And I've won both those games.
I just bet against the Colts.
My maxim for Indianapolis: if Anthony Richards in the game, bet on the Colts because they'll at least keep it close. Mm-hmm. He does make the mistakes. He does all that. He's going to get hurt at some point too. That's the problem. He's got a durability issue, and I think right now the Colts are humming along. I love what they're doing. I don't know what's going to happen with that game. I like Chicago too, by the way. Chicago is a really good team.
That makes me feel better.
I mean, I still would go, with the Colts because of my thinking with Anthony Richardson back there. But anyway, let's finish up with our third game of the week. Final game of the week for me. I've got the Miami Dolphins traveling to Seattle. The Seattle Seahawks, they're 4.5-point favorite. Over-under is 41.5 in this game. Wow, what are you going to do with Miami here? Because Miami's starting Skylar Thompson. Mm-hmm. Tua's on IR.
I hope Tua gets better, but that's scary what's happening to him with the concussions.
Third official NFL concussion.
Scary.
He's got an official NCAA concussion, so 4 official ones overall. they say he's going to be 4 weeks out. I expect him to be out
Well,
a little
hopefully-
longer. They
look,
have to keep him out a little longer.
That's a serious condition, and hopefully, and I'm sure they're going to keep a close eye on him, and he's not going to get back until he's ready to get back. So, but boy, you just hate to see something like that happen.
Well, let's get back to this here. They're playing Seattle. Seattle started the season 2-0 straight up, 1-1 against the spread.
Got very lucky last week against the Patriots.
By the way, Miami
Seattle.
is 0-2 against the spread this season. You got Geno Smith, another Jets cast-off. We were just talking Sam Darnold at the beginning of the segment here. Here we got Geno Smith, who got punched out of New York by one of his teammates there. He's continuing to play very well. He's actually one of the best quarterbacks of the league right now in the first 2 weeks. I hope that continues. Miami's got a great defense. Can't take that away from them. But their offense is the question mark. Skylar Thompson, yes. He can handle the offense. He's not as dynamic as Tua.
Sure.
Mike McDaniel can still call the same plays. The off-schedule plays is where Skylar is different than Tua. But their offensive line's a question mark. Their offensive line is allowing too many sacks. They're not run blocking properly. And here they are. They're facing a defense in Seattle that's a top 10 defense in a lot of categories across the league here. And between the defense, between the edge at the quarterback position, like I said, Seattle's coming in 2-0. This actually could be win number 3 for Seattle, and I think they're going to be 2-1 against the spread. After this, I'm going Seattle and laying the 4.5.
All right, my game is the Los Angeles Chargers versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers are 1.5 favorites, and the total is 36. That's right, you heard me right. Total of 36. I mean,
kind of low.
But it's the Steelers' home opener, so it's going to be a fun game to watch. I think the terrible towels will be flying high during the game. I think this is going to be very low scoring a game, of course, and I guess the books think that too. With they put a 36 total on it. Look, one of the main reasons for the Chargers' success this season has been running back J.K. Dobbins, and he has an average of 9.9 yards per run. The good news for Steelers fans, the strength of the Steelers, I think, is stopping the run. I mean, he hasn't played the Steelers yet. This year, running backs have only managed to get 3.7 yards per rush on the Steelers defense. And by the way, quarterbacks haven't done much better against the Steelers defense. They have a passer rating of 56.8 passer rating against the Steelers, which is great. I know it's only 2 games, but it's a
small sample size.
It's a small sample
it's a good
size,
sample
but
size,
you know
though.
what? I think this is going to be a great game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I always like the Chargers preseason because, they have so much talent. Now they have Harbaugh, and it should be an entertaining game to watch. The home Steeler game always is. The home opener is times 10 that. So, I think it should be a defensive battle because I'm not crazy about how each offense is performing. I'm thinking the Steelers. They got the home field. It should be charged up.
Charged up. I see what you did
charged
there.
up. Yeah, okay.
I see what you did there.
And no, I just I think the Steelers are going to win by like a field goal. I don't think this is going to be like 21-7 or anything like that. I think this is going to be a field goal kind of game. And I think the Steelers, because they're at home and because of their defense, I like the Steelers in this one. My one favorite that I'm picking this time.
Well, that's our 3 games. We're going to wrap up and recap right after this.
Sign up at jackpot.com and you can bet on the world's best lotteries where the biggest jackpots are up for grabs. Powerball, Mega Millions, some of the biggest lotteries can be found at jackpot.com. Simply choose your lotto game, pick your numbers, or use their quick pick feature, and you're done. Sign up at jackpot.com with code DRAW24 and get a free lottery ticket with your first deposit. Jackpot.com, it's the world of lotto in your hand.
Terms and conditions apply. You must be at least 18 years old and in the United States to play. Void where prohibited. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Welcome back to the Turnpike Sports Pro Football Show, presented by Caesar Sportsbook. Special offer on the screen, Pike 1000. Head on over to Caesars.com/sportsbook-and-casino and sign up and get a special sign-up offer there. 21 and older, terms and conditions apply. Problem gambling, 1-800-GAMBLER. We just did our 3 picks.
Yep.
And hopefully things change a little bit for you.
Yeah. Well, look, I went with I went with 2 underdogs this week, considering what happened last week. 8 underdogs, 1 off, outright. So, I have to do something. I have to do something, change my philosophy. I didn't pick any totals this week, which is strange. I usually do a over or an under.
I did one of each.
Okay.
And speaking of that, let's recap. Go ahead.
Oh, you want me to go first? Okay, I'll take the underdog Minnesota Vikings, who are 2-point underdogs against the Houston Texans. I've taken the Chicago Bears, who are 1-point underdogs against the Colts. And this is the one favorite I took, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are 1.5 favored over the Los Angeles Chargers.
I went with the underdog Minnesota team as well against the Texans, +2. I went with the over 49.5 in the Philly-New Orleans game, and also I went with Seattle laying the 4.5 against Miami. The Skylar Thompson-led Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
So it should be a fun game to watch. As always, these picks will be put up on our blog after the show is released. TurnpikeSports.us. Click on the blog button. You'll see the picks there. Feel free to comment there on the blog. If you have picks yourself, info@TurnpikeSportsRadio.com. And also follow the show, Turnpike Sports, on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Turnpike Bets, same place. Turnpike Sports Radio on Instagram. Turnpike Sports on Facebook. And info@TurnpikeSportsRadio.com is the email address to reach us at.
And that'll do it for us this week. We'll see you next time on the Turnpike. Good luck, everyone.